Hey Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into today's video. Before we start, come on, thumbs up for the stash being back. It's back. We're bringing it back right now for at least the next couple of days, maybe even longer. Drop me a thumbs up right now to welcome back the mustache. All right, let's go and jump into, of course, the latest Eagles news and rumors, starting with the current coaching situation. You're probably wondering, Thomas, are the Eagles ever going to hire a head coach? And honestly, I have no idea. It feels like it's going to be maybe this week, but yet we've heard that the Eagles are not really even close to deciding on who they want to be their head coach. I don't think anything comes today. Let's just say that. Later on this week, stay tuned. Josh McDaniels to Philadelphia is heating up, though. This seems to be the lead candidate, the lead horse in the pack right now, the one who possibly is going to go ahead and become the next Eagles head coach. And we start off, of course, with him because this is what the rumors are saying, right? So first off, they interviewed Josh McDaniels, the current Patriots offensive coordinator, on Sunday. Apparently, the interview took 7 or 8 hours. It was like 2 in the afternoon until 9 p.m. at night. It was a very long and lengthy interview. The Eagles asked him, I guess, as many questions as they possibly could. I can't even imagine a 7 or 8 hour job interview overall. But according to multiple sources, the Eagles seem pretty confident in Josh McDaniels. That apparently had a very good interview. And again, this seems to be the growing, I think, candidate in the NFL to go ahead and be the next Eagles head coach. Jeff McLean has a couple of great tweets here. He's, of course, the Eagle beat writer for the Philadelphia Inquirer on what is going down with this. We'll start with the first one. Quote, Eagles vet all their head coaches, their head coach candidates, but as Albert Breer reported here, can confirm they're going deep with Patriots OC Josh McDaniels, making a lot of calls around the NFL. Thinking here is that it could still be a few more days before a decision is made, still steps to clear. So a couple more days, and obviously probably at the end of the week we'll have an update video on who the head coach is, but they are doing some deep thinking on Josh McDaniels and making a lot of calls around the National Football League on him, particularly to be their next head coach. Another tweet, we'll go and throw this one up here from Jeff McLean saying, quote, he also has a strong... Speaking of course, Josh McDaniels, he also has a strong personality, would want influence in personnel. He coaches hard and would be opposite in ways to the emotionally intelligent Peterson. Has CEO vibes, while other candidates out and the Eagles not considering others. With other candidates out and the Eagles not considering others, McDaniels seems to me the leader. Here's the deal on Josh McDaniels. Whether it happens or not, Josh McDaniels is an extremely risky hire. I'll lay it out for you. You got to remember, he's a genius offensive mind. He's the offensive mind who worked with Tom Brady the longest in terms of overall offensive coordinators with Brady in any of his stays. Now with Tampa Bay and now New England. He's been there for the past almost decade, dating back to when he was fired, or he previously was the OC with the Patriots. He then hired to be the Denver Broncos head coach, drafted Tim Tebow, won a playoff game with Tim Tebow, and then kind of messed up the transition from Tebow to the next quarterback. They fired him. He went back to be the Patriots offensive coordinator and has been the Patriots OC ever since. It's also risky because Josh McDaniels was apparently offered the Colts head coaching job whenever Frank Reich eventually had it, and then Josh McDaniels 2 years ago backed out of the Colts head coaching job. So you have this guy who is well-respected in New England. I mean, he is the offensive genius behind the New England Patriots over the past couple of years. I think you can come and say he was really bad with Cam Newton, but they had no weapons, and Cam Newton stunk last year, so we can't really blame him for that. But he has been a very smart, young offensive play caller, which is what I think a lot of people want in Philadelphia. But he's also failed in Denver as a head coach dramatically, and then kind of gave a sour taste around the National Football League, backing out of a guaranteed. The Colts had offered him a job, and he said, no, I don't want it. I will go ahead and go back to New England. It's feast or famine here. It's heaven or hell. I mean, there is no in-between. It'll either fail miserably, or Josh McDaniels will be a great head coach, and we'll all look back and say, well, I guess we should have wanted Josh McDaniels because he ended up being very, very good. So it's a mess. Let's just say that. The Eagles head coaching search is, to me, not well organized. I think they're missing out on a lot of candidates. They have missed out on a lot of candidates. There are some candidates that don't want to be in Philadelphia. More on that here in just a little bit, but everything we're hearing right now, as of Tuesday, January 19th, is that Josh McDaniels is the lead candidate to go ahead and become the Eagles' next head coach. What do you guys think? Should the Eagles hire Josh McDaniels, yes or no? Like, are you in on this or out? I'm kind of out. There are some better candidates. I'll talk about those here in a second, but it does feel like this is going to be it. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments section. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other head coaching news that's going on right now in Philadelphia, because even though Josh McDaniels is the front runner and the lead candidate, they're still interviewing people and being turned down by people, and it's just still such a mess. Okay, let's start with the fact they requested to interview Eric Bieneimy, although as we'll see in a tweet in a little bit, his agent seems to think that he will not be hired. They're also going to go ahead and interview Nick Sirianni, who's the Colts offensive coordinator. It's like a Frank Reich disciple, I guess. They could have just kept Frank Reich, but it's a different story for a different day. Mike Kafka apparently no longer in the mix, and Brian Daboll has turned them down. The Bills offensive coordinator, who has an AFC title game to prep for, apparently does not want to coach in Philadelphia, which, with the current state of the Eagles, maybe he is, correct. There's also some rumors that John Fassel, the Cowboys special teams coordinator, could be interviewed for the head coaching position. It's like, What? Like, when was the last time a special teams coordinator was interviewed for a head coaching spot? I guess Harbaugh in Baltimore, but goodness gracious. I mean, they are literally interviewing everybody. I'm fully expecting them to call me this week and ask me for an interview. I mean, honestly, the Eagles, Philadelphia Eagles now is popular, right? Give me a call, got the mustache, I'll ace an interview, I'll be the coach of the Eagles. I kid. Anyway, move on. Here, of course, is the Bieneimy tweet from his agent. I think it was yesterday on Twitter saying, quote, on MLK Day, the NFL should be ashamed that at this point, with only 2 jobs remaining, one after Eagles hired JM, which is Josh McDaniels, 0 black coaches hired or even second interviews, no coaching jobs in conference championship games are currently connected to either of these 2 jobs. The main point here is that Eric Bieniemy's agent, who would be in the know, seems to think that Josh McDaniels is going to be the Eagles head coach. So that ties up with what we said earlier on in this video. Let's just quickly go through the list of names that are still available. The Eagles have either requested interviews with or have interviewed. We'll start, of course, with Todd Bowles, interviewed over the weekend. Gerard Mayo, Deuce Staley, and Joe Brady. Throw in Kellen Moore, and then Josh McDaniels, Eric Bieniemy. Now we add Nick Sirianni, and that leaves you with, essentially almost 10, right now 8 candidates who are all still in the running, and some of which we didn't expect to see, and some that we didn't expect to see. So it's a crazy list. It's a crazy thing going on in Philadelphia, and I like being thorough, and I like, interviewing everybody to make sure you find the right guy. They're not really in a rush right now because only 2 spots left, and it's them versus the Texans, and if Deshaun Watson wants to leave, then maybe the Eagles is the best job available, even though it's still kind of a relative term. But I would argue it's down to the 5 finalists here. I think it's Bieniemy, Bowles, McDaniels, Joe Brady, or Deuce Staley. One of those 5 is going to be the next Eagles head coach. It probably will be Josh McDaniels. And maybe you're watching this, a couple hours later after posting it, and they already hired Josh McDaniels, and I was right. So maybe it is Josh McDaniels, but I still would love to have an Eric Bieniemy interview. I think he is endorsed by Andy Reid. I mean, literally, Andy Reid speaks the world of him and did that just the other day in another press conference. He's been in and around one of the great offensive minds in the NFL. I would love an interview with Eric Bieniemy, even if he is just Doug Peterson Part 2, because he was the former, of course, offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. I already mentioned Joe Brady would be young and exciting and maybe even a future superstar. Risk reward with Joe Brady. I said that players like Deuce Staley, I'm not sure I like Deuce Staley from a head coaching standpoint. I like him on my staff, but from a head coaching standpoint, a little tough. And then as we already mentioned, Josh McDaniels, you're either going to get a great offensive mind who fixes the quarterback spot, and we all go, oh, we shouldn't have complained about Josh McDaniels that much whenever they hired him, or he's a mess like he was in Denver, and a mess like he was really over the past couple of years just turning down the Colts job, and you got issues there overall. Again, like I said, Bieniemy or Brady are my 2 picks. I will continue to stand by that. If I was going to pick any of the 5, it would be Bieniemy or Brady. However, as we keep seeing and as we keep saying, it feels like they're not going to get a second interview with Bieniemy based on what the agent says. And Joe Brady was hot for like a couple days, and then they just moved on to interviewing more people. So maybe Joe Brady is just too young, and they don't want to risk, going ahead and signing a guy like Joe Brady overall. But I'm on the Bieniemy bandwagon. I'm on the Brady bandwagon. Although, like you said, Josh McDaniels seems to be the pick, and for better or worse, that is what we are stuck with right now in Philadelphia. It just depends on if it becomes true, when it will become true, and how good of a job, how bad of a job would Josh McDaniels do overall at the helm in Philadelphia. I'll get you guys to do this, though, in the pinned comment down below. Take your best guess at the next head coach. Your best guess at the next head coach. Who will it be? Let me know right now down below in the comment section. It's one of the 5, I think, and so pick from one of the 5. But if it's somebody else, then let me know, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's somebody else. But it is interesting times in Philadelphia. Let's just say that. Very crazy and very interesting times. But right now, down below, pinned comment, take your best guess at the next head coach in Philadelphia. Go ahead and give me a shout-out for going 3-0 on my BetUS picks of the divisional round. I nailed all 3 of my bets this past week with our friends at BetUS. You guys can bet on the championship games with chatsports.com/EaglesBet. Use that promo code EAGLES125. Get a 125% deposit bonus whenever you go ahead and sign up. I'm already taking Green Bay. I think Green Bay rolls the Bucks. I like Brady, and I like what they did over the weekend, but I think the Packers are the best team left in the playoffs. Chiefs will beat the Bills. Mahomes will play. Shouldn't be a problem. Give me the Chiefs there. And then, of course, Packers, Chiefs, we a +20 for the Super Bowl matchup. That's what I would be my pick for the Super Bowl matchup overall. But you guys can bet on this game, of course, with our friends at BetUS. Okay. Other non-coaching news here. I want to quickly jump into the Jason Peters conversation he had with 6 ABC up there in Philadelphia. So, of course, Peters, was let go and then signed back and then has the toe injury, has the surgery, and now he wants to come back for another year. Yeah, so Jason Peters, who gets injured every single year, will be a free agent, but wants to come back and play one more year in the National Football League. Now, is he going to be an Eagle? I'm going to read the comment here in a second. Then feel like he would expect the Eagles to re-sign him, but I was just going to say this right now. I really hope they do not bring back Jason Peters at all. I mean, I love the guy. Hall of Famer, respect him, great. I mean, huge part of the Eagles the past decade, but too old, too injured, move on, younger players. Here was Jason Peters to 6 ABC, quote, "Fans deserve more than what we gave them this year. Hopefully we'll be able to bounce back with this new coach and new staff. I'm going to play one more year, try to get me another ring. Probably won't be in Philly, unfortunate, but try to choose a team and get another ring." Drop a like if you guys want Peters back in 2021. I would like the video because I don't want him to come back in 2021. Honestly, I'd much rather them go ahead and just do the internal battle of Jordan Mailata versus Andre Dillard. We'll talk about that more in a second, but I am not on board with this idea of bringing back Jason Peters. Whatever the news is this week, though, make sure you guys are subscribed because it's going to get crazy, and I'm telling you, we have plenty of news to go ahead and cover here on the channel, so make sure you guys are subscribed by clicking that big red subscribe button down below. As mentioned, I think the offensive line depth chart is fine without Jason Peters. He didn't work out as a right guard. They're not going to need him as a right guard because Brandon Brooks is going to be back, and they have too many young left tackles in Dillard and Mailata to sort through to start somebody who's like 38 years old and coming off another injury, which is another injury to the long list of injuries he's had over his career in Philadelphia. But the real battle here is Jordan Mailata versus Andre Dillard. I mean, this is the real overall battle right now at left tackle because I want Mailata, but you also have a first-round draft pick and Andre Dillard, who hasn't really had a chance to take over the spot due to injury history. So that's my question mark here. It's not as, do you re-sign Jason Peters? Because I would not, and I don't think the Eagles would even consider doing it, even for a very cheap price. They don't have a lot of cap space to do so. I think you let him go and let the young guys battle it out for the starting left tackle spot right now in Philadelphia. Final little bit of news here. We talked about, again, some cut candidates over the past couple of weeks. Derek Barnett is somebody who I think had a decent year, but Bleacher Report, of course, put out the article saying he could be a big-name player cut from the Eagles this offseason, as right now, the Eagles are in cap hell, and cutting it would free up about $10.1 million in cap space. And this is something we're going to talk about more over the next couple of days and weeks. Philadelphia is in a spot where they don't have money to go sign people. They got to figure out how to keep their own guys without losing too many of their own guys, and maybe Derek Barnett is one of those guys, excuse me, that could be on his way out, as he is a former first-rounder, but technically has yet to play a full season due to multiple injuries there for the pass rusher. Still, I mean, he's been good, and he was a key part of the 2017 Super Bowl run, had a couple of big sacks in the AFC title game, as well as the fumble recovery in the Super Bowl of Tom Brady. I thought he was really good at times each of the past couple of years, but I think health is somewhat of an issue. The only problem with letting go of Derek Barnett, of course, is that who fills the role, right? Is it for sure Josh Sweat? Because Sweat has had injury issues as well. Can you count on Josh Sweat to give you 16 straight games? I'm not really sure, but there are some options right now on the Eagles' overall defensive line depth chart, but I wouldn't be surprised if they add a pass rusher at some point in the draft because of the age of Brandon Graham and, of course, potentially cutting Derek Barnett overall. Final question of the day, what should the Eagles do with Barnett? Type C down below for cuts, type K down below for keep, as this is going to be another big conversation here over the next couple of days and weeks. What do you do with the money in order to free up the money? And that means cutting players and letting go of people you'd like to see and be able to keep in Philadelphia. There you go. Ultimately, for today here on a lengthy Philadelphia Eagles news and rumor video. Again, McDaniels is the lead candidate. They're going to interview Bieneimy, but it doesn't seem like Bienemy's agent thinks it's going to happen, which, again, is for different reasons up there. Who knows why they're not letting Eric Bieneimy be hired by someone, but 2 open spots remaining. Maybe he gets the Texans job. I would like him or Joe Brady for the Eagles, but again, McDaniels seems to be the pick. And finally here, the quick update, Jason Peters wants to come back. Don't let him. Sorry, move on. And then will they cut a lot of people? It could be Derek Barnett, and he might be one of the bigger names they let go of Philadelphia here this offseason. Ultimately, for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. Again, a lengthy video. Thanks for sticking with me. Want to get you guys the latest update here heading into the week. We'll keep you updated on any sort of coaching news, so stay tuned here on the channel. For Philadelphia Eagles Now, I'm Thomas Mott, signing off. Enjoy the rest of your day.